Yeah, so these are the feathers, and I really believe I'm one of the bird people, as well as a few other peoples that are in my ancestry. And the amazing thing is that wherever I go, um, different tribes, different parts of the world, I keep getting feathers, and this is from the Blackfeet people, the Blackfoot, perhaps we'd call them.
Is that in
But anyway,
Montana?
yeah, they're actually a bit further north than that, but yes, they're an important people, lovely people up there. And in fact, I was trying to give this young man a feather. He was doing wonderful work in, that was Toronto, I think. Anyway, he was doing wonderful work there with young people, and they were all kind of teenagers, around that age, early 20s even, and they needed his help. And he was only young himself, he might have been 35, I suppose, and I was trying to take the healing stone to the 12 nations, and that was one of the nations, and he was the only one I could find. And I had two stones, one for the Blackfeet people and one for the Crow. I couldn't get to the Crow, they were way up north of there. But anyway, I told the story of what we were doing, and he said he didn't want the stone. I put the pounamu down on the ground. He said, I don't want your stone. And I said, why not? He said, because people bring us things, and then all they want to do is take things from us. They bring things and take things, and we've just had enough taking. And I said, well, I placed it on the floor, and it comes as a gift of aroha, of love from our land for healing, and of course you don't have to accept it. He said, well, we have to test the truth of you. I'm going to see the elders, and tonight you can come and sit with the snakes. And that terrified me. I'm not all that happy with snakes. He said, the snakes will find the truth of you. The snakes will find the truth of you. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work out. And all these young people were sitting around, and David was just making this point, and the stones were still there. And I said, well, I've also got stones for the Crow. And I put that down. And he looked at me and he said, tell me your story. So I did. I told him quite a long story about how I was called to bring the old knowledge out, the knowledge of Waitaha. And they listened and they listened, and everything was very quiet. And then suddenly he got up and walked out. And I thought, wow, that's it. That's it. But I left the stones and I just quietly waited, and I didn't quite know what to do. He'd left. And then he comes back with the feather. And he places that in my hands, so I was sitting there. And then he reaches down and lifts both the stones and says, we will treasure this stone, and the other will go to the Crow. All these feathers are feathers of memory. This lot of feathers, these were carried by Kanan two trees of the people of the Dakotas, the Sioux people, the Lakota. And she was the daughter of Grandfather Black Elk. He was still alive at that time, and one of the greatest healing shaman on the planet. Amazing man who wrote an incredible book about shamanic healing, and that's Kaylin. And she carried these across to the west coast, and her journey was to bring back some of the sacred healing stone that was waiting to be gathered, and she made that journey, and she came back, and of course she presented it all in a traditional way. She had this cloth with her beautiful colours, and everything that came came with such huge respect for the bird people. I mean, it was just amazing, just the way these feathers are honoured, and the stories behind them are utterly incredible. Yeah, this one's from Australia. Yeah, and of course, down here we got these wonderful feathers from the owl. Yeah, they're beautiful. And the owl, of course, is one of my guardians, one of my kaitiaki, one of the kaitiaki.
The moorpork?
Yes, it's we call it ruru here, and it's the moorpork, and you hear it in the night, and it's absolutely beautiful. And there's one other thing about the feathers that I found really hard when I began my whole journey with Waitaha and with those elders, and that was that I discovered that every time they were sending me on a spiritual journey to do something that was really important to them and to my own journey, a bird would come and die. When I could name these birds, it's unbelievable. A great hawk, kahu, of these feathers, kahu fell out of the sky. And that was when I opened the peace trail. Kahu arrived, fell out of the sky, and we needed feathers for that trail. But I've had a duck arrive, just come and die, all kinds of birds. There's probably something like 20 different kinds of birds have come and actually offered their life. It was a very difficult thing to accept when I put that together, that I was asked to do something. I'm preparing, I begin the journey, and lo and behold, a bird comes and dies. And it even happened when I went to the USA, and it was a blue jay, and only been ashore a short time. It got out of the traffic, away from people, and was beginning to walk in the wilderness, and there we are, blue jay comes and dies. And I said to the elders, I can't cope with this, I love the birds, why are they coming and dying? They said, because they come to honour your journey, and it's their choice, it's their decision, they give a life. Yeah, so the birds, for those journeys, the elder said, the feather is gifted and carried to allow your mind to soar, to open you to bigger worlds, to be of the song that comes from the trees, and the soaring of the mind into other places and other streams of consciousness, if you will. So all these feathers mean something. They've come, they've been gifted. Yeah. There's even one of the sea eagles from Scandinavia, and that feather arrived in the night, and it was there the next morning when I got up, specially wrapped to be received. Yeah, the bird people, they're amazing, and some of us are bird people. We just know that we're part of their song and part of their journey. Some are stone people, some are water people, some are tree people, but we all have ancestral lines that bring us into special places at special times.